You know that phone in your pocket, your laptop, the massive AI servers that are powering, well, everything? It turns out all of that is made possible by one single extraordinary type of machine. It's the hidden engine behind our entire modern world. And today, we are pulling back the curtain.
Okay, let's start with a number, 30 billion. That is the insane number of transistors they can now pack inside a single, cutting-edge microchip, like a high-end GPU.
But here's where it gets kind of crazy. Even though there are billions of these components, each individual transistor is almost impossibly small. We're talking just 45 atoms across. It's a scale that is both gigantic and microscopic at the very same time.
Which really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How on earth do you reliably manufacture something with billions of parts, where every single part is smaller than a virus? How is that even remotely possible?
Well, to answer that, we've got to dig into the fundamental technology that makes it all work. It's a process that basically takes an absolutely impossible engineering problem and somehow puts the solution right in your pocket.
The key word here is photolithography. Now, it sounds super technical, but at its heart, it's the process of using light to print a really detailed circuit pattern from a kind of stencil, they call it a photomask, onto a silicon wafer.
Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of these incredible machines as nanoscale photocopiers. But instead of just copying a page of text, they are copying the blueprint for a sprawling, multi-layered city of transistors.
To really get a feel for the mind-bending scale we're dealing with here, the sheer density of information that's being photocopied, let's do a quick thought experiment.
So, just for a minute, imagine that instead of copying circuits, one of these machines was used to copy the words from a book, but at that same microscopic scale.
Just to put this in perspective for you, a single page of text would be about the size of one of your red blood cells. A whole chapter? That would be no bigger than a single grain of pollen. Okay, so with that in mind, if we took the surface area of just one GPU chip, how many of those microscopic pages do you think we could cram onto it?
The answer is just, well, it's staggering. You could fit the entire text of the English Wikipedia, plus all 7 Harry Potter books and every single book Stephen King has ever written. And get this, the machine copies that level of detail in less than a second.
So we did what it does, and the scale is obviously just astronomical. But how does it pull this off? The secret is in using a very special kind of light, extreme ultraviolet, or EUV for short.
Think about it like this. Trying to draw a modern circuit with normal light is like trying to do a super detailed drawing with a big fat marker. The lines are just too thick. EUV light, though, with its incredibly short wavelength, is like switching to a super fine-tipped pen. It lets you draw the impossibly thin and precise lines you need for today's chips.
But just generating and then controlling this special kind of light, well, it requires an absolute engineering marvel. No joke, it's one of the most complex machines humans have ever built. And here's the really wild part. EUV light doesn't really occur naturally on Earth. So to make it, the machine has to fire 2 powerful laser pulses at a tiny droplet of molten tin. This vaporizes it into a glowing plasma that emits the exact wavelength of light they need.
And this isn't some slow, careful process. No, the machine is zapping a new droplet of tin 50,000 times every single second. The speed and the precision are just breathtaking.
So creating the light is one thing, but then you have to control it, and that's a whole other problem. Because EUV light gets absorbed by normal glass, so you can't use lenses. You have to use mirrors, and these are not just any mirrors.
These mirrors are, literally, the flattest surfaces ever created. They are so impossibly smooth that any bump or dip on their surface is less than the width of a single atom. Just think about that for a second.
And the engineering challenges just keep piling up. The entire path the light travels has to be in a perfect vacuum because even one air molecule would absorb the light. And even with those perfect mirrors, each one still only reflects about 70% of the light. That means the initial plasma blast has to be unbelievably bright just to get enough light to the end.
Okay, so this incredible process isn't just a one-time shot. A microchip isn't a flat picture. It's more like a complex, 3D skyscraper of circuits, and it has to be built one layer at a time.
The whole process works a lot like spray painting with a stencil, just repeated over and over again. First, they coat the silicon wafer with a light-sensitive material. Then, the EUV machine zaps it with light, projecting the circuit pattern.
The exposed part gets washed away, and the layer underneath gets processed. And then you just do it all over again for the next layer.
And how many times do they repeat this entire loop for a single advanced chip like a GPU? About 80 times. The whole manufacturing journey, through hundreds of different steps, takes around 4 months to go from a blank wafer to a finished chip.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. This one type of machine, this unbelievable triumph of physics and engineering, it really is the linchpin. It's the hidden, absolutely essential engine that makes our entire technological world go round. So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. We're always demanding smaller, faster, more powerful technology, right? That constant push forces engineers to the very edge of what is physically possible. It really makes you wonder, what will the next generation of these impossible machines actually look like?